Up, 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 bam. Starting it up. Starting it up. I think we could be live. We might be live.
We're live.
I'm gonna assume we're live, guys. What's going on, guys? I don't know if we're live. I'm trying out a new method here for kickoff DFS week. But if we are live, welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the podcast. My name's Joe Ingram. I am also known as Chicago Joey on the poker world. And we're doing something special here today, guys. We're having a DFS week, a daily fantasy sports week, to kick off NFL Week 1. I know a lot of my regular audience is going to lose a shit ton of money. So, I mean, maybe you can learn like a small couple things about DFS, or maybe you can become inclined to want to become one of these guys I'm having on this week and then lose all your money. So that's to be seen. But we're kicking off the week strong here, guys. We're coming out the gate hot. We have debated. Now, I put on Twitter, he's one of the best DFS players. I got some people angry, like, no, what the fuck? No, it's a script. His script is what makes him the best. I'm like, okay, this best, okay, guy, or like, calm down, buddy. But we got one of the best players in the DFS world right now, formerly known as Maxdalury, a.k.a. real name Stud. What's up, buddy?
Welcome. I'm doing well, man. Excited to be here. Just, I don't know, first live podcast I've done, interview. We'll see how it goes.
It's the first live one you've ever done?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow, man. What an honor, kid. I mean, I feel like,
know.
Are people like getting in touch with you a lot saying, hey, I mean, I know we kind of talked a bunch, so this isn't the first time we've actually ever talked,
Yeah.
but are there like people getting in touch with you like, hey, let's like do this media, do this thing, do that thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, I got a lot of requests, especially late last year, and then like some like random guys email me, can I go, and you're going to go on this radio talk show in Philadelphia? I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Why would I want to do that?
So I guess when you look at coming on a podcast like this, you know, it don't seem like you're really in it for the publicity or for the notoriety or the fame. So
I mean, a little bit. I mean, you always want to be recognized for being the best. I mean, if you work hard or something, that's. But I mean, I'm not totally out to it. I just want, yeah. I mean, respect is nice, and doing these interviews is good. But I also want to kind of get my face out there, because before, like last July, I mean, I didn't do anything. No one knew anything about me. It's quiet. So, I mean, I kind of just went like every interview possible. I did like 3 or 4 newspaper articles. Was going to do a whole bunch of other stuff. But then I got sued, which kind of changed my perspective.
Bang, bang. It'll change my perspective. Listen, if I get sued for something I say on the pod, I got to say, it's probably going to change my approach to the podcast.
Yeah. I know. I was like, I went in an article like a week later, the whole Ethan Haskell thing happened, and I got sued. So I was like, this got me absolutely nothing by doing his interviews besides a fucking huge lawyer bill. So, yeah, that kind of put a dent in it, but we'll see.
Well, okay, let me get some backstory on you for the people who might not know much about you. I know I'm going to have some new DFS audience coming to this podcast. Welcome. My name's Joe Ingram. I played a little bit of DFS last year, but I'm mainly an online poker player. Been doing that for about 9 years. Been playing high stakes, pot limit Omaha, the greatest game in the world, for the last 4 or 5 years. And I guess that's a brief backstory about me if you have no idea who I am. But our guest today, Saahil. So Saahil, so on Roto Grinders, which is like it's a great site. It's got a bunch of research. Better. It's got the forums. It's got the leaderboards. So you like number 1 on that leaderboard for. Since I looked at it ever, how long have you been considered one of those top guys?
I think I was number 1 for like the last 15 months or so. Well, I was up there for a while, dropped, been up there, but I mean, I've been playing DFS for a long time. So.
All right, so you've been playing for a long time. You play regularly the highest stakes cash games. You regularly enter 75 million entry. I mean, is that an approximate NFL season? Is that how many?
Yeah, no, I think I actually. So they sent out an email yesterday, kind of recapping my season. I think I made like 44,000 different lineups or something last year.
That's it.
So, yeah, I was kind of surprised, but
it seems like it'd be more. I'm trying to think. So 44,000 separate entries, or
no, lineups, like unique lineups, and then multiple like each lineup would have maybe hundreds of entries. I don't know.
Okay.
I play a lot. I play a lot.
So you're one of the highest volume. No, I was thinking about this leaderboard. So you're number one on the leaderboard, but in poker they got the GPI. Whoever's number one on there. I mean, usually you don't put much stock in the leaderboard. So is that something that you guys as players, as you know, trying to be considered one of the best? Do you guys put much stock in the leaderboard, or is that something where you're
I
like,
mean, the leaderboard's volume based. So, I mean, I think I'm a good player, but it doesn't mean you're number one. Doesn't mean you're automatically the best player. It means I play the most volume, most likely. But you can't play a lot of volume, and then if you're not good, you're gonna get crushed. So.
no, you don't know, no.
You don't understand?
Wait a second. No, that's not true. No, do you not read what people say?
Yeah,
if
I know.
you play more volume, you win more money. I thought.
Exactly.
You got to be kidding. Wait, I could have swore if you played more. According to everyone, you know what I'm talking about, man. I just can't believe some of these guys. They're like,
you gotta learn about DFS. Poker's a little different than DFS.
These guys are so funny on Twitter though. They're just hilarious. They're like, oh no, he plays a lot of volume. That's why he's like, it's why he wins. Like, it's why he's one of the. I'm like, if you were terrible and you play a lot of volume, you'd lose a lot of fucking money. It's like, whatever, man. I don't know. I'm sure you get a lot of comments, buddy. That's kind of why you changed. That's why you changed your name, right? That one of the talk. Give people the story about why you went from Saahil Sud from Maxdalury.
So I guess when I was maybe like 19, so I knew this guy, so I played squash competitively. So people that aren't like 100 miles within the East Coast and north of Virginia probably don't even know what that is, but I played squash competitively, which is like an East Coast thing, and I played against this guy. His name was Maxdalury. I beat him a couple times. He beat me a couple times. It was like a rivalry. I didn't really like him, but it wasn't like anything terrible. And then for some reason I was signing up. I think I was like maybe it was a marijuana forum. I want to do something that was like anonymous. Typed in username Maxdalury, and I started using this as like any place I wanted to be anonymous, and that did that for DFS, and then it kind of whoops, yep, and it all came to a head last December. So
is the story public about how about what happened with that, or is that something you could talk about? I know there was like
I can talk about it. I think it's so I did an article with the Boston Globe. It was like in conjunction with me launching RotoQL, which is my site. And so after that, this guy's lawyer emailed my lawyer saying that he wanted me to change the name, that it was significantly affecting his life. He was getting like 600 different, not even Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn messages, and it was affecting his life. He's a consultant. And like his clients were like, how are you consulting me all these hours if you're playing all this DFS? Then he started spewing something about saying that he needed to change his address because people would look him up, but that was probably bullshit. And then, so then it was like he could sue me, or he could do an article, because I think a Boston Globe article, a reporter wanted to interview him about it. And that would have just been like bad press for everybody. DFS me is like one of the top players, steals a person's identity. So then it was like, I didn't want to change my name really, but I also didn't want to screw over this guy. It's like, if it's really that bad for him, like I have nothing really against him. So I was like, went through the process of changing it, and it was kind of a pain in the ass, but I think it was best long term.
Yeah, it's kind of it's funny. I remember when I first saw the name, I was like, who's this guy? And I'm like, oh, it's that seems weird, but it would make sense from a, like, I know when I made my poker name, I made it my screen name, Joe Ingram 1. I made it my name. But I feels like it's better to be known as your name instead of a pseudonym, especially if I feel like, let's say DFS, something happens with DFS, and now you built up a company, or you built up your website, or you want to go outside of that. Now that's like an instant in with a lot of people. You're like, oh, I'm Saahil Sud, and they're like, oh, shit, okay. Whereas if you say, so it might be a blessing in disguise where you have to free to change.
Yeah, no, I mean that was good. I mean, it's important for like me, like do the interviews. It's like wherever I go now, I have instant credibility. It's like you play DFS, you go whatever I do after this. Be like, what does that mean? But now, like all the publicity, all that stuff, people know that you're legit, and that's definitely one of the motivations for kind of coming out of the shadows.
I got to tell you, this is a conversation I do on the podcast. I don't do interviews, man. So that's a word that interviews are boring, man. I don't know. I have conversations
That's
with
true.
people.
I mean, they ask you the same shit, so I'll say this conversation. I haven't done many interviews, but I'll have this conversation with you.
That's what I like to hear, man. Guys, we're live on YouTube right now. You got any questions, comments, you can leave them in the chat. I see we got a lot of regulars. We got Jonathan Bales in the chat. What up, puppy? Jonathan will be on the podcast on Thursday. I can't wait for that. We're going to talk about Jonathan's Success Magazine story where the motherfucker, he's eating. I don't know. Like, did you see that? You see that, Saahil? Did you see the
Yeah, I saw the pictures. I mean, that must be one awkward photo shoot, man.
So, okay, the name of the magazine is Success Magazine. You got the guy in the bare slippers reading a newspaper, feet kicked up, and then eating a pizza on a computer. Like, what are you doing?
I want to know whose idea is like, Bales is like, you got to get me with this pizza, or someone's like, what's one of your favorite things? Pizza. Oh, we got to work this into the photo.
Right. Like, wait, you must at home a lot. You probably eat a lot of food, right? Eat a lot of pizza. You probably just do nothing. You sit like it kind of made it seem like they wanted him to look like he's just like some fucking guy just sitting at home on the couch reading a paper, like doesn't actually take it seriously, doesn't think about it the right way. The article was good. The pictures, I don't know. Have you ever been in something like that? Where you've been in like a spread or had a full a featured piece on you where you had to do some stuff like that before? Yeah,
so I mean, when I did that Boston Globe article, like these people came to my apartment. I was like standing there doing photos and all this shit. It was miserable.
You're like some quiet guy. You're like, what do you want? Wait, pose. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, pose. Turn to the side. Turn this way. Turn that way. Oh, it's terrible.
Man, so are you excited for NFL season? Obviously, we got NFL coming up here.
Yeah, no, very excited. I mean, DFS has obviously been through a turbulent time, and everyone's feeling good about football now. I think everyone who talked to DFS loves football, and there's optimism for the first time, I think, after New York becoming legal. So I think that's really positive.
What do you think about the recent article on ESPN where that guy spent that article, you read the article, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've read it. There's an article on ESPN.com. Some guy literally must have spent the last 10 months writing this article. I swear to God. And it's basically, it seemed like a hit piece on kind of the DFS world. It seemed like I don't necessarily agree with the guy's assessment that it's imploding and that it's like it still seems like it's doing pretty well. It was just at this ultra sky high peak last year.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you ask anybody, would they be happy where we're at 2 years ago? If you ask, like, in 2014, if these were the 2015 prize pools, everyone would take that. But, yeah, last year was insane. I mean, there's no question about it. But then, yeah, I mean, I talked to the guy for a bit on the interview, and then he was like one of those people who's like, I'm a straight shooter. I was like, if an interviewer's saying that, I was like, made me kind of uneasy, so I was like, didn't really say anything to him, which I'm glad I didn't now. But yeah, coming back in like April, so he's been working on at least since April. So
yeah, that was I read it. I'm just like, man, I think.
But, yeah, I mean, it's like the actual article felt a little more balanced, but like when you have that title, it's just like that's your ultimate like thesis is that. But when you read it, if you didn't have that title, I think it wouldn't have been as strong a hit piece. But it was definitely on the negative side.
Yeah, I feel like if they don't get it out when they get it out, if they wait till after week 1 starts, then things are booming again. So I feel like they had to get it out. That's why they waited this long.
Well, they had to get it out before New York passed. I thought if they wanted that to be the title. So.
Yeah. So I guess NFL season. What's your approach going into the season? Is there things you can do to get better at NFL last year, or is it something where it's sort of just same as usual?
No, I mean, I'm definitely trying to improve. I mean, everyone else is improving, and if you don't improve yourself, you're going to get left behind. So I'm definitely changing a lot of things I do, even though I had a lot of success, but definitely focusing a lot more on like the game theory, kind of getting yourself into
GTO.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means, but
game theory optimal. What do you mean? You just said it.
Yeah, but GTO is game theory optimal. I didn't even know that.
Kid, come on, man. Yeah.
I don't play poker, man.
We know you're an exploitative player. Then you're not a GTO approach player. Bales wrote a bunch some stuff about game theory, I believe, too.
I know, but I don't think he used GTO.
Yeah. Yeah, I think GTO is sort of, it was like this kind of dorky poker term people used for a long time, and then I started using it to apply it to everything. And now I'm like, oh, like our black shirts are probably could be GTO to wear on the podcast.
Matching shirts definitely GTO.
Yeah, I mean it was weird when you texted me with your outfit earlier this morning, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna wear this chain with this shirt. What do you think? I'm like, what a coincidence! I'm gonna wear this shirt with this necklace.
Are you wearing jeans?
I'm wearing sweatpants. Come on, man. I'm not wearing jeans. I haven't worn jeans for 2 months.
All right.
Yeah, I can't. I rock sweats around the house. I'm always at home.
Yeah.
So,
I'm actually leaving the house today, so I put on some jeans.
going to the baseball game, right?
Yes, I am.
So how does your mindset change? So you go from MLB, very everyday thing. I'm sure there's not as much action, especially as the year goes on. I'm sure the action gets worse and worse. Now we got NFL starting back up. So how does your mindset change, as this process starts taking place?
I mean, I just know I gotta grind harder, work harder. I mean, MLB is a little bit easier, the easiest of all the sports to do, at least for me. So, I mean, I don't think that much changes. Besides not having a fucking life on the weekend, I guess that part changes. Or even less of a life, I'd say. Just because Sunday mornings, getting up 5, 6 in the morning to kind of get everything in place for Sundays. But other than that, still same rough mindset.
Yeah. Is it sort of, because I think the amount of money you're wagering in a typical MLB slate, I'm not sure if it's more per week compared to NFL, but you got the NFL slates. Now you're betting, probably 7 figures plus, whereas MLB slate, how much are you usually betting on a typical night for MLB?
I mean, I've pretty much gotten at least 6 figures every single day this MLB season, sans a couple. So, I mean, more in a week in MLB, but NFL is also, if you hit the nuts, you can make a lot of fucking money.
Do you envision there being more action this year to bet, or is it probably going to be around the same as last year, you think?
So one thing is, the high stakes action's grown this year. Like the other action, I think hasn't. So I'm expecting there's going to be more high stakes action. Other than that, I think everything will be slightly down. That's my expectation. We'll see, because the season opened up huge, but then the whole scandals, all that bullshit happened, and it went down. I mean, you're going to be playing NFL, right?
Of course I'm back. You really think I can talk to six people 6 days in a row about DFS and not want to play?
That's
true.
True.
No, I played a ton last year, and I kind of I took the same. I played mainly heads ups, and do I want to say my strat? I'll just say it. I don't even care. So on FanDuel, they had this script thing where you could it would highlight each player. So it would have the new guys in green, it would have the by wins. And this was kind of something I used to do at poker, where you can watch a lobby. I basically knew every single player. So in a heads-up situation, it's sort of like a way to bum hunt, and I would just instantly sit. Like I feel like I'm great at just watching the lobby and scanning, refreshing. So I would scan, refresh for like a half hour before the games got started, and just instant sit anyone that from like 0 to 100 for NFL heads-ups, and then I started doing that for NBA. But the action kind of it died off after a couple weeks or a month in NBA. So then I started. Well, I don't want to say I don't want to say where I'm gonna go from there. I'm gonna tell people too what I did. I'm gonna give you guys some strat here. So then in the 10-man and 20-man, 30-man, 40-man, 50-man games, I would figure out every single player, like who all the regulars were, and I would be able to tag the regulars or take note of the regulars. There they had the script still works. I don't think the script works anymore. And then I would look for the games that had less of the regulars in there, a more unknown to regular ratio, and then sit those games. I just gave away a lot of strategy with people. Go ahead, do that, guys.
But people can't anymore, so.
But you can. Well, okay. Yeah, the script doesn't work anymore, right? They changed. FanDuel changed.
You can't see the wins or whenever even people joined, because you used to be able to click on a username, and then that's how the script worked, if you want to call it a script.
So it doesn't tell you who sits anymore. If say it's 7 to 10 in the high stakes, it won't tell you who the 7 are.
Yeah, no, it tells you who they are, but you don't know how good the 7 are unless that's your unless you know personally. It's not like, oh, I know this guy had 10 wins or this guy even joined 3 days ago type of thing.
But for yourself, it doesn't seem like you're going out sitting people. You're kind of just sitting everything. You enter every single lineup. I'm sorry, every single game type, and then, but you don't really game select at all, right?
No, I don't game select. I definitely don't join. I mean, I'll join high stakes head to heads against some other people, some pros, some people I don't think are good. But in terms of like, I don't think I've joined like $100 or below head to head that I'm not sitting myself in years. So.
But then you join every single regular game. We talked about this. You just the $3 and up. You don't sit any of the games below $3. But basically, you'll enter every single contest. Is that for GPPs and cash games as well, or is that?
Yeah. No, cash games, GPPs, pretty much everything.
So you're entering the max amount of lineups in the GPPs for everyone too?
Yep.
Okay, so here's a big question we got from a lot of guys on Twitter. If a new player watches this, why do they want to play? Like, why are they going to sign up if they're going to be playing against the max number of entries in you in a GPP contest or in the cash games? That's what they want to know.
Well, I mean, I'm still 1 out of 10 in the smallest double ups or 3% of the total entries. And it's like, so like if I'm playing like 100K GPP, 3 entries, and I have a 10% ROI in that, which might be even high in that, it's like, well, the extra $300 out of $100,000 in equity going to me, is that really going to discourage? It's not like I'm taking 25% ROI or 40% ROI that it's impossible to win if I'm sitting there. Yeah, I mean, if you want to make money, you probably shouldn't play me if in 3-mans or 5-mans or head-to-heads, but you're really going to complain if there's 3% of the total entries. Make some, but there's plenty of contests. Single entries too, so I get where you're coming from, but if you really think about the math of it, it's not me. It's like if you want to avoid all the pros, then probably can't, so you probably shouldn't be playing DFS.
Yeah, I can obviously understand where both sides are coming from as the professional player and as the recreational player. Recreational player comes there, wants to get, wants to get a fair shake or wants to feel like, when they start knowing people are using softwares and the software scripting, these kind of things stepped into poker as well. But once people hear those words they don't really understand, I feel like it's just a big turnoff.
No, exactly. I think that's what people just don't understand. I think it's a big part of it. Yeah, I mean, you hear all these words, and anytime there's money to be made, people are going to try to do it as quickly and as smartly as possible. I mean, that's just how the world works, and that's why we're in fucking America. I mean,
I guess so. So when you think about that, do you feel like there are some ways that the sites could improve in terms of, maybe longevity, maybe improving the way things work now? Maybe there's certain things that you feel like aren't fair or aren't done well?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that having a matchup blocker like DK has is definitely a good thing. And then even limiting the low stakes, I think. I know that this is a hot button topic for a lot of people. I mean, I don't think pros should be allowed to sit less than $10 if you have a certain amount. Like, at that point, I think it's fair that you can expect to not be overwhelmed by sharks and not have people join with your head-to-heads. But after a certain point, DFS isn't going to survive if people aren't making a living or making a lot of money on it, and they need us. So I think there's a certain balance there. I think it's just you have to do it by the low stakes. And obviously people have talked about this a lot, that like poker, no one's going to play whatever low stakes because your hourly is not going to match it. But DFS, I can click a couple buttons and join everything. So it's on the sites to kind of limit that to a certain reasonable way, which I think if you go $10 and below, I think they should be able to limit what you do there, and sites have definitely taken steps there. But there's obviously a long way to go.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. I feel like you would see, what I like in DFS is there are new sites they don't have much volume, but there are other sites trying different ideas. It's something I've always wondered why that didn't exist, I guess, in the poker world, is that all the sites sort of took the same model, applied the same model, offered the same games. And I do like how there appears to be some innovation happening with these other sites. They try different contests, they try different formats. So, but it seems like FanDuel and DraftKings are kind of just...
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the liquidity. And so if you look back when there's other sites, like when DraftKings had just started, what DraftKings did was they just pumped a ton of money into the ecosystem. They overlaid everything like crazy. So literally everybody could win in DFS 3 years ago when DraftKings was having like 10% overlay, maybe not every day, but consistently. If you can't win that, then you're never going to win. So they just made everybody a winner, and then they ended up with huge amount of liquidity, and then just crushed out every other site besides FanDuel.
Mm-hmm. Seems to have worked pretty well.
I mean, it was a smart strategy. I mean, you look at, I think Draft Day had probably a better product than DraftKings did, but they never survived because they just didn't have the liquidity because they weren't willing to pump in millions of dollars of money.
Shout out to my buddy Taylor KB, Andrew Wiggins, Draft Day.
Yeah, Andrew Wiggins.
Boys,
shout out to Andrew Wiggins.
I know, I'm sure Andrew's watching this. Andrew, puppy, that could have been you, kid. You could have been on you could have been the guy facing all the legislation, man. It could have been you, Wiggins. Could have been. Damn, I wonder how that. I gotta talk to. I gotta ask Wiggins this. How does it feel to, like, you're right there? I mean, I remember being in like the at Wiggins' place like a couple years back when they were just starting Draft Day and they're talking about it. I'm like looking at the little behind the scenes for how it all works out, and now you have these $2 billion companies, and it's
tough. It's tough. But Wiggins is one of the best cash game players out there.
So I guess where do you think you rank in terms of in the cash game hierarchy here?
I mean, I want to say I'm number one, but I don't know. I mean, I play everybody as much as I can. Some people I lose to, some people I win to. And I play all the sports. So I don't know if there's ranking. There's definitely some sports I think people are better at me, but overall, if you took all the games, all the sports, I don't know if anyone's doing consistently well at all the sports or playing as high stakes in all the sports like I am.
Yeah. It seems like some people have specialty sports that they play, like then they'll sit the higher head stakes heads up. But you, 10Ks across the board, huh?
Yeah.
That seems crazy. Like, I guess, is it easy to apply your model and I mean, you take something like golf or NASCAR or ML. Like, is it easy to just apply the way that you approach it or the way you think about it over to these other sports?
I mean, they're all different. I mean, like when I started playing golf, I got my ass handed to me for a long time. I play soccer, definitely losing there, but I'm getting better. So, probably should wait till I get better to start playing the 10Ks, but not my style.
You got a little degenerate in you?
I mean, I do have some. I think you have to. I mean,
I think so.
You play 10Ks that probably have a losing expectation, at least in soccer and PGA for a long time. But I'm definitely not the worst, but I'm not a model of non-degeneracy. So
yeah, it's kind of funny, like in poker now, all the guys at the high stakes now are kind of not degenerates. But back in the day, they all used to be fucking degens, and guys are kind of busto at this point in time because they never really, games got harder, but they kept that same degen approach, and then, variance ramps up, and then all of a sudden, you're not winning anymore. So it's kind of like, over time as games get harder, you thought about maybe toning down in terms of the degenerate approach, or have you thought?
No, I mean, I just want to get better at them, so I don't have to worry about that. I mean, we'll see. I don't know where industry's going to go, but my model is just get better at it.
Yeah.
Get better at all the sports. So I am plus EV.
Build better lineups. Is it like, I guess it's a proprietary secret how you get better at DFS, or is there some way, is there like these easy answers, or is how you get better, is that what gives you your edge?
I mean, I'm a data guy. I'm a numbers guy. Like straight up. I'm fucking brown, so I got to take pride in my genetics. So,
kind of racist, but it's okay. I think you can say it.
Yeah, well, I can say it, I guess.
I can't say that. So I mean, when you mean numbers, so that means you're just working with, a lot of people out there don't know what, like they say he's working with numbers. What What does that mean?
Yeah,
So
I mean, I do statistics, machine learning, those type of things. I mean, that's where I think my edge is. But obviously, you have to have a human side to it. But that's where I think I get my edge. So I'll do things a little differently than I think some of the other people in terms of applying just strictly data. And that helps me apply it to different sports. And if you do that, you can really cut down your daily time because I don't think you're able to grind all sports if you're kind of working manually in what I would say. So also people don't like that shit. They hear computers, algorithms, logarithms, and they get kind of freaked out. But you don't have to do that to be a good player. There's plenty of good players that probably don't even know what Excel is, so or how to use it.
I guess you could say like there's numbers guys, and then there's the exploitative kind of guys who are just kind of going the field players kind of thing.
Yeah.
Who are you excited to play this year, man? You mentioned some names before we got. Is there some guy you pumped up, or are you excited? No, now we're getting fired up.
Yeah, we'll see. No, I said.
Who are you excited to play, everybody?
I play Assani a lot. I know he's going to be on here tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Although he said that he's going to be quitting me.
I don't listen. I don't believe that. There's not a fucking chance Asani's quitting. There's just the kid loves the action, man. He during the series out in Vegas this summer, man. He was like just embracing being a poker like a fish kind of thing, man. He was just firing away. No, I feel like he's gonna step up to the plate.
I mean, he came back. I don't know. He might tell this story, but he came back from World Series Poker and just went super hard in PGA. And then I just literally had the best lineup on the site, and like he was just like within like 6 hours into sweat, he was probably drawing dead on like a 4-day golf thing. So I don't know if that.
How much did you end up beating him on that day then?
I mean, I think it was 6 figures.
Maybe it makes sense. Why? I mean, he's got to be coming back for you, man. I feel like Asani's. He's not gonna give up going out on.
I know we both like it. We both enjoy it. So.
I guess in that situation, you feel like there is edge to be had, or do you feel like with the rake that no one's winning, but you like to gamble?
I do think there's some edge, but it's very small. But yeah, I mean it's a fine line. I don't think I'm losing terribly, but I mean if I was a nit, I wouldn't be playing it. So.
Yeah. Who else are you excited to play? What other guys out there get you fired up when you think about them sitting?
See, I mean, we'll see. I mean, NBA, I'll be playing against Doubt and Make It Rain. Definitely happens. Baseball, I'll play with everybody. I enjoy everybody. There's always like the big, somewhat degenerates. I'll play all of them, and then there'll be some of the nits that I'll avoid because they don't like playing me, and I don't need to push them. They don't really want to play.
What do you mean by push them? You set their games and then they like what? So
yeah, if I sit a game for a person I know is a nit, or something that I may not even be profitable. That's just not something I'll do. But for someone that somewhat enjoys it, I'll play them. I'm not gonna like scoop every single head-to-head, but if we get a couple 10Ks a night.
I guess when you think about the lobby control of the situation, wouldn't it be sometimes maybe be a good thing to scoop someone's action when they're sitting and as they're rising up the stakes, sort of like, I mean, it could be backfire where you want to, put them in their place. You want to show them who's the fucking king around here, and then they sit you. They start kicking your ass, and they're like, then they're like, okay, I'm gonna start sitting them high. You know what I mean? So it could have that sort of reverse effect.
Well, I mean that's what Condia did, and that's a story a lot of people ask about. But he did that for a long time. Was just scoop every single person, so he would get some plus EV, lot negative EV, but he'd also get all the fish because they would have no choice but to play him. So, I mean, it worked out for him, it seemed like, but times evolved, games changed, and so there's definitely... What?
Did something happen? Did he end up losing a bunch of money back, or what was the story with him?
I mean, him and I played quite a bit.
Oh?
Against each other at high stakes. I don't know if you've ever heard of this story, if someone's mentioned it to you.
No, I haven't heard the story. Why don't you tell the story for some people out there? I'm sure a lot of DFS players probably know the story, but probably most of my regular audience probably doesn't know about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, he's talked about it. I don't know if I should go into exact detail, but so he was the king of the lobby. He was sitting everybody, taking all the games. I think this was late 2014, early 2015. I started playing him, and I was running hot. Like I was playing him like 20, 30K a night. I was winning like an obscene rate, and at some point it transitioned to
Oh boy.
we were both sitting there, and he would just take all my games. Like DraftKings used to only have 5,300s, and then like as soon as we were in the middle of this battle, they just put them 10,600s because it's like it's probably easier for them to click this if they're 10,000s instead of 5,300s, and we were like the only people playing them at the time, and it became an ego thing. It was just like, I've been winning against you for this considered period of time, and you're still scooping me, and it just escalated to just a lot of action, more action. I think both of us either wanted, and it was like to a point where, I mean, I was up like 7 figures, and then I was just like, if I lose one day, I'm gonna quit, and then I just kept winning until he quit. So it was just like, because I knew that this was like, once you have like $1 million, to lose that is a lot different when you have like 100K.
You gave him the fucking beatdown, it sounds like.
Well, I mean, it's a story you hear from a lot of poker people. You don't really hear it much from DFS. Because like you hear stories of poker people, whatever, like winning $1 million in a week, then losing it, winning it. I don't think that's ever happened in DFS just because of the nature of it. But
Wow.
I just ran like God for 2 months, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I don't know much about the Condia guy. I think I looked on his Twitter once. He got banned from the World Series of Poker, kicked out of the Rio or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's like he's a crazy. I don't know anything about him. I'm assuming he used to play poker, so I might know who he is, but I don't know what his real name is. So
Yeah. No, he was the biggest player for a long time, and yeah.
it seems like you're one of the only non-poker guys. Seems like most of the high stakes guys, they have this poker background, whereas you
Yeah.
never really played poker. You worked a regular job and you kind of just
Yeah, I
got
worked a
into it.
regular job. I'm probably down like 3,000 lifetime in online poker, so I'm nothing. I played for fun, and this was, I guess, 2007, 2008, and it was getting harder, and then the whole Black Friday, all that shit happened. I was just like, oh, I'm never going to be good at this. Doesn't make sense to be good at it anymore, so never progressed past that point.
Yeah. What was your regular job before before you got in DFS? You were some of the office, right?
Yeah, so I was working for an online advertising company doing data science, they say, so like analyzing customer behavior, how to market to people. So if like this person is, so it's like a car company, so like this person from Vermont, they're gonna like a Subaru way higher than a person from Texas, and like how do we market to different people like that. So I mean, that gave me a good background, but I was also playing DFS semi-seriously on the side because who wants a real job when you can play DFS?
Well,
Or interview people that play DFS and poker.
conversations style. If you're talking about me, I have conversations. But listen, is there?
All right, I'll try to remember next time I say it because what was it, like third time I said interview?
Yeah, you the first. I didn't set the precedent for it. Yeah, is there any podcasts in DFS that are like known as podcasts or that some like good players in DFS do?
I don't really know, to be honest. I don't think there's a lot of like about DFS players. I mean, there's a lot of good strategy podcasts.
Mm.
I mean, like Silva and Leviton, they definitely do some good. I mean, I don't know if they really play much at all, but they do a lot of good strategy stuff because, I mean, they're probably in it because I love sports, and love fantasy, but I don't know if there's much DFS. Because you look at like Assani's video, like no one was really doing anything like that before. So
I love Asani's video blogs. I don't know what I love watching those, man. And I guess I do know of him before, so it's fun. But Yeah, I like this. You always like hearing inside the minds of the guys who are the best at at what they're doing, even if it's anything. If you're the best at like putting this hand sanitizer on your hands or something like that. Like I still want to like hear. I like it's always fun to get in those guys' minds, see what they're like see what they think, because
Yeah,
it's always pretty
yeah,
fascinating.
it is. I mean, people all have different like characteristics, but there's always like common themes that everyone has,
I
which is
guess a
interesting.
common theme for some qualities that I think I would pick up from you are you're very analytical when it comes to numbers, which obviously is a huge thing. It seems like you got a pretty high work ethic when it comes to just putting in a sheer number of hours and maintaining focus during that time period too.
Yeah, no, it's important. I was like, I don't know when I'm ever gonna get this opportunity to do this, like play DFS at a high level, make obscene amount of money that I would never be able to make pretty much doing anything else. So while I can, I want to take advantage of it, and that's why I play. Is like I push to the envelope because I don't want to have a regret that up if I played higher stakes or if I did something else different. It's like you can't have regrets if you're max entering every single contest, and I guess you could regret going broke that way, but
Yeah, Condia might
that's
regret playing you and losing I
uh,
seven figures to you.
uh, I'm sure he did, but I'm sure I could have very easily regretted making that decision, but I was on the right side of variance for that.
So I guess how does this factor into your social life? So I mentioned you got a girlfriend. I think we talked before.
Yeah.
So does this is this where your life is basically you're just doing DFS and that's pretty much all you're thinking about and that's all you're doing?
I mean, it's for the most part. I mean, I try to have some, but it's tough. I mean, she's very like she understands that I gotta put in the hours, so it's like it is what it is. But it's tough because yeah, you don't like playing NBA DFS. Like I can't go out like during the whole winter. It's just doesn't make sense when you're playing that high stakes action against the best players in the world.
Mm.
So the summer, I'll try to definitely get out more because like after 7 o'clock with baseball, you're generally pretty good to just head out. But yeah, I mean it's tough. I pick up more bar tabs now when I go out, but
Right, because you're not ever there that often, and when you're there, you're probably
yeah,
like, all right, let me. But I mean, I
yeah,
feel like and this is what a lot of people I don't feel like they understand is that to be really great at something, to maximize your potential at it, you have to sacrifice these things from your like. That's just kind of what it takes. And if you
yeah,
want to be able to maximize your potential in this, you got to sacrifice some of these other things. And down the road, those things will be there, and they'll probably be there to an even greater degree in terms of enjoyment and happiness and accomplishment because you'll have succeeded and achieved this thing that you just put your all into. And a lot of people
yeah,
just they really I understand it's fun to go out to it's fun to go to the bar with your friends. Like it's fun to do that. It's fun to go out, go have dinner at nighttime. During a it's fun to go out with your girl and take a 2 week vacation. But at the same time, there's certain people who are wired a certain way where they can just put that aside and just hone in on this thing and just
yeah.
focus on that for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad. I wake up, I think about DFS. Probably go to bed thinking about DFS. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
that's what it is.
I can
So.
I can very much relate to that. I mean, that's kind of the way I've always been with poker, just 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, poker
Yeah.
all.
I don't know how you say you do like these 20-hour sessions. I guess Adderall helps, but I don't know
Well,
how.
before I had a lot of heart. But that was the pre before I do you do any Adderall Vyvanse? Do you try something like
I mean, I'll try it. I don't use it.
that? Yeah, before I didn't try it till I was I'm old now. How are you? How old are you? 26?
I'm 27.
27? Yeah, I'm 31 now. So I didn't try it till I was 28 or 27 or something like that. Like the first time I tried it, I played a 33-hour session. I played the most hands in a 24-hour time period of PLO that anyone's ever played, and I was like, "What is this drug?" Like,
Yeah.
but to be honest, I would never take it again if I would. I'd rather not know what it does to you.
Yeah. That can't be good. Wait, was that a profitable session? Can't imagine. Was it? I
Well,
can't imagine it could be.
gotta be no, certainly not.
Like maybe for the first 12 hours, but after it just has to be a disaster.
Yeah, especially the first time you're on it, and like I know I should quit, but I'm like just glued there. It's a
Like yeah, you think about quitting and then like 3 minutes later you forget that you thought about quitting.
right. Yeah, you're just like 45 minutes pass by, 2 hours pass by, and you're like, oh, It's kind of wild. I wonder what it would do for DFS players. I wonder if it would be something that, because I mean, it improves your focus and your ability to just play well at poker. I wonder if it's something that at DFS, whether when you're, I mean, if you're looking at so many numbers and you're trying to like decide which lineups to go with in which situations, I imagine it could have a pretty big impact on some people.
Yeah, it could. I mean, if you're building a bunch of lineups, I think that has to help. But I don't know. I mean, you're also dealing with deadlines, which I think is different. Is like at 7 p.m. No matter what state you're in, your lineups have to be in. Like if you have a shitty player, if you've made a mistake, which may have made plenty of, it's you're shit out of luck.
Yeah, you make one in NFL, you're going to be. Well, I guess you see for cash games, you just enter. That's something I always wondered about. Do you always enter one lineup, or is it sometimes you mix it up with two and decrease your variance potentially?
I always enter one lineup.
Yeah. What's the argument for entering two? Is it just a pure decreased variance kind of thing?
You decrease your variance, but I mean you're still reducing your EV, however minorly it is. And it's also easier to keep track of and export them. And when you have the tournaments, that's enough to keep track of. So, but I mean I could easily do it. It probably wouldn't affect anything. It's just also just a shitty feeling when one of your players gets injured in the NFL, which is bound to happen. Like on my cash games, it's gonna be six figures. I know it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be a terrible feeling. But
I can imagine. I know what it's like to lose a lot of money, so I can imagine what that must feel. But I can't really imagine what it must feel like if it's 1 o'clock and you're watching the games and you know your quarterback breaks his fucking leg or something, or he's knocked out with a concussion. You're just like. And then probably worse when you might actually have a sweat, like the Monday night game. You finally got a sweat. I could no.
yeah.
Yeah. What's like the craziest story that happened for you last season? I like Assani always tells these funny. He always has these like really. He's like, I was playing this guy. Comes down to the last day, and then we both have one player left. He's got Jacoby Ellsbury. I've got Pedro Martin. Whatever, like old school. And then I don't know. He always. What's some of your stories from this year, from last year that come to mind?
Yeah. So I mean, for this year, it was an NBA Assani story that we were playing. I think he talked about this on a video blog, and it was just it was the playoffs. It was like a three game slate or something, and we were playing like 70, 80,000, I think.
Remember the story? Yeah.
And it was obviously the playoffs, and I was like pretty dead. I was like 10% chance, and I like really needed Durant to go off, and he put up like 17, 18 fantasy points in like 2.5 minutes. Like he was like steal, block, 3-pointer, and I somehow passed him. And then there was like an end of the play. There was like a Kyrie Irving, I don't even know who it was. I had like one player where I got a steal and I like beat him by like 0.2 points. I was like, wow, this is it was incredible. I was like, this is one of the craziest things. So I like go to bed feeling fucking great. Then wake up the next morning.
Yes.
I check it and it's like, that last steal was like not a steal. They like ruled it like a loose ball. Like I don't even know what it was. Like ended up losing. And that was one of the worst because it was just
wow.
Like I thought I had won. And I was also like almost drawing dead. Came back to win. I didn't even like remember to play. Like ESPN had it listed one way. Fox Sports had it listed as a steal. But it is what it is. And you go through this, you have every type of beat, but
that's a big one.
That was a big one. I mean, my best was last year, week 3 NFL. I literally like had to nuts through like my teams were crushing, and I had Randall Cobb on every single team of my DraftKings and FanDuel, and I was like in a great position. Like if Randall Cobb gets like 10 points, I'll be winning like everything. Sweeping all my cash games, winning a lot of the tournaments, even winning the single entries. And he just like goes bananas. He gets 3 TDs, 7 catches, and it was like every random Cobb catch was like up like 25,000. Like each touchdown was up like 6 figures, and it was just like that was a peak. And then like shortly after it, that week, it was like this whole scandal erupted. I got sued. It was just like that was like the ultimate high, just having him on every single team. And it was like the second highest scoring wide receiver. But then it was all downhill.
That's pretty sick. So what happened with the whole lawsuit thing? Is that still pending, or is that something that's
No, that was dropped. It was all bullshit. They sued a couple other people. A couple of the employees that were playing was involved, but they were like saying things like that DraftKings would purposely drop the entry limit when things were overlaying to allow me to put in way more teams and stuff like that. It wasn't even true. It was just, but they were like they're a good law firm. It was like, I don't know if you've ever been sued, but it's not fun because
not yet.
if there's any type of credibility to it, then you have to go with like a discovery, which is pretty much they go through all your shit, bring out everything, and it's like could be public record. So luckily, I hired really good lawyers, and that shit got dropped. But it was like I spent like 6 figures on lawyer fees for something that was absolutely not true. And even if they said the things that were true, it was like they didn't even have a claim there. Type of thing.
Yeah. Bale says, "You sweat games in all sports." Saahil.
I do. I trying less and less too. I like to sweat the games and not sweat the leaderboards. So I'll like check how the games are going. The leaderboards is like that. I think that drives you insane. Like,
Yeah,
this hit got you X amount of money. Now you're losing. Now you're winning. Like that. I'm always like a very even keeled and like always on the same emotional state. But like that's like sweating those leaderboards just can't be a productive behavior.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people probably just get like upset like during NFL. Well, NFL is different because you watch games all the time. But even like NBA, you start the first game at like 7, and you're watching until 12:30 sweating the leaderboard for 6 hours straight. It just seems like that might not be the most healthy way to go upon it.
No, I don't think you can do that. I don't know if you can really do that if you want to play at the high stakes for a long time. I think that'll lead you to burnout pretty quickly.
Yeah. When you're watching the games, you're sweating the action. Are you able to pick things up, or are you not? Are you just kind of going just strictly off?
I'm definitely trying to pick things up. So like when I'm watching the games or checking things, I'm trying to like figure out the trends. Like if something, and that's like the way that you can kind of like because you're extra focused on it. So that's the way you can pick up certain things. And it's like, oh, this is an idea I have. Let me see if it's backed up in the data and type of things like that. But. Yeah, sweating games. I like to sweat football definitely, but I won't check the leaderboards until the end.
Who doesn't, man? NFL, like it's so. I don't know. I kind of got you. Watch the Red Zone channel?
I do.
That ruined football for me because the Red Zone channel is action for like listen, if someone's watching this, you don't have a Red Zone channel. I don't want to say get it for sure, but just beware. It's gonna ruin football for you because it's just action constantly. And I wish they had that for. Actually, I wish I had something like that for NBA. But NBA TV doesn't really do anything like it. They do this weird version, but I feel like it would work in almost every sport, and it would make many more sports more watchable if you could just watch the action all the time.
Yeah, and I think NBA is a little bit. It's a little tougher since there's not like certain situations that are way more important.
They could cut to, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it's like baseball. Like it's still like if you have like bases loaded, 2 outs, you cut to that. It's important. If you have like soccer, they're in this certain zone, or NFL, they're in the red zone, and you have a big play. But NBA is like, are they just going to do replays of great situations?
I guess they could do it when the main starters are in, they could play that, but when it's bench guys, they might go to another game, and then when all the starters are in certain games, they choose whichever one might be the most competitive or the one that's flowing well or
Yeah,
something like
I mean, I
that.
think it's definitely doable, but I think NBA is definitely the toughest.
Yeah.
Just a glance.
Which sport is it? Is NBA the toughest sport, or is MLB the toughest sport to play for DFS?
I think NBA went from one of the easier ones to very, very tough very quickly.
Yeah.
Because before it used to pretty much be enough to sit by your computer before lock and put in all the scratch, like all the backup players are good spots. Like if you did that, it was pretty much enough to be profitable. But now, if you don't do that, then you're just dead in the water.
Saahil, interesting segue point, my friend. Speaking of putting people in who might have been bench players before the lock happens. They have a big thing about you, kid. So a couple bunch of people on Twitter said this as well too. So the story, the infamous story now. Without this story, you might not be one of the top
That's
guys.
not think. I mean, so Mr. Channing Frye is, I'm sure, what you're.
Yeah. So
I'm just like in the DFS community, I don't know, like Channing Frye world champion or Channing Frye the guy that I put in my lineups to win some money. It's like, what is he more famous for?
I feel like he's probably more famous for that incident that happened with that. So I mean, talk about that incident for people that don't know about it a little bit. So it was.
So like, what the funny thing is that like I put in Channing Frye. So like the Magic, Nick Vucevic was scratched pretty late, like 6:30 ish, and the Magic were down to like 8 players. I don't even know who they're playing, but it was like everybody's gonna play a shit ton of minutes. Channing Frye's gonna start. Channing Frye's not really that good a player, but like I think it was Iman Shumpert, and like I had Iman Shumpert in like all my lineup, not all, like 80% of my lineups. He was like 3.1K, and Channing Frye was 3K, and I like swapped to Channing Frye everywhere, and I had like Shumpert by like zero point 0.1 points below Channing Frye in my projections. So it really was not that like it was optimal, but it wasn't like this was Channing Frye still would probably score like 18 points at him projected at, and then and this was while I was playing Condia big, so I was like not even worried about I was like worried about my cash team lineup like way more. Just swapped to Channing Frye. Channing Frye has like 21 fantasy points at the end of the first quarter. The Magic, I had like 4 Magic starters, and they put up like 36 points, and they're all gonna play like 38 to 40 minutes. And I had like all my lineups are very similar in the way that they all had a lot of Magic, and it just like kept racking up. They just kept crushing it. I think Channing Frye finished with like 41 fantasy points for minimum salary, and it was just he was like 6% owned, and because of my entries, I probably had 50% of the Channing Frye in these tournaments, and I got whatever 20 or like maybe like 50% of the top 100 places were my teams, and all my teams cashed. It was just one of those, and I also beat Condia, so it was just like the best night. I won't forget that. It was
So,
just,
well, people were angry about it. Is I guess the whole
yeah,
scripting
people
thing.
were very angry at it.
Right? They were very. This was. I think this might have been before scripting. I don't know if it was that talked about or that discussed back then, but they said, was it legal at the time to do this, or was this something that wasn't allowed, or what was exactly was the issue people had with it if it wasn't against the terms of service?
Their issue is that it's an advantage if I can change my lineups quickly, because that's a big advantage in NBA. So that was the main issue.
Doesn't
So
seem like. I mean, from like my perspective, I can understand, but that's something that only certain people have access to at the time, and now I think now that's a regular thing where you can do like a universal type swap out for players for the most part, right?
yeah, I mean, it wasn't like certain people had access to it. I don't know what the rules exactly were. I know that I was able to swap Channing Frye. I mean, it was a global player swap.
Hmm.
Was that specific incident, because it was like, how can I change all these teams? But it was just like the funny. It was not even a scripting discussion for that Channing Frye.
Mm.
So I was using whatever the global player swap. The scripting discussion was like, if people can use technology to import lineups, put them on the site, and then other people are clicking manually, is that an unfair advantage? So that was a big discussion.
Seems like an unfair advantage in some ways, but
Yeah, I can understand
Yeah.
that. Because allowing two people to change 150 lineups is, and they don't have to do it manually. Then that's
yeah, it's a pretty big advantage for sure. Let me see what we got in the chat out here, Matt. You want to give any shout outs, Saahil? You want to give a shout to somebody?
I'll give a shout out to my boy Peter, CSU. He's the guy that got me into DFS, and
Wait a second. Did he really?
yeah, I mean, he was one of the people I talked to in the very beginning. So
Can you tell me how did it work? How did this happen? Did he approach you and tell you, hey, you should try this DFS game?
I mean, I was playing a little bit, and then he was at Star Street, and I had started playing, and then I just started talking to him, and he kind of pushed it.
Yeah.
Pushed it to me, and
Yeah. No, funny story about that. So back in the day when I was doing the podcast, CSU Ram comes in the chat trying to get me to play DFS. He's like, man, Joey, you really like this DFS thing. Think about it. If you probably got me in DFS, I'd probably I mean, I definitely would have made money. So he's like, dude, really. He kept trying to get me to play it. This is before it was big. And I'm like, no, man, let me, come on. Hello, man. I'm trying to play poker. I can't. And now in retrospect, maybe
time's good then, but I mean, it's just grown so quickly that, like, back then, the GBPs were like 20K total. First place gets 2K, and that was a big GPP.
And now it's massive. Now, are they still gonna? Is it still gonna be? Is it only $1 million this year for the first place games for the big contest, or is it raised?
So it's gonna be $1 million. DK, $3 entry. Just gonna have whatever. So there's gonna be 5 million total. It's gonna be like 2 million unique and like lineups in there, or not. They're not gonna be unique, but there's gonna be 2 million lineups in there. I don't know, and someone's gonna win $1 million of $3, and it's not gonna be me. So.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
My
150 lineups are not going to make a dent in 2 million.
You do okay. So hopefully you're aware. There's something called a podcast run gun. People come on the podcast. They typically run pretty fucking good. Especially the best players when they come on the podcast, they run exceptionally good. So I don't know, Saahil. I wouldn't be surprised if you.
I was running really hot till for like last couple of weeks till Saturday, the live final. That was pretty disastrous, but
what happened? So live final was in Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto.
Yeah,
this past weekend.
What happened with that?
I mean, I just had shitty lineups. Like I had 6 lineups, which is the max. There's 160. And like my best lineup was 53rd, and I think my second best was like 78th, and that's
Bang. Gower City right there. So one way ticket to the showers right there, man.
Yeah, so I think I got whatever. It's like it was like 170K in equity, and I got I think it was 45K or 4. Yeah, it's like 4. No, it's 40K, and then DK already gives you the min cash as you qualify, so then they debit it after. So I'd like won 40K, and then DraftKings took out 30K of it because I was in min cash. So it's just but I mean, I thought I had good teams when they started. They weren't very good teams after it ended.
So I went to one of the live finals last.
Yeah, the Playboy. Right?
I met. Listen, shout out to fucking FanDuel, and shout out to my boy Assani for inviting me with him, because I met a. Listen, if you play DFS, you need to go to the Playboy Mansion final. Let me tell you how the Playboy Mansion this one looks like. They bust in hundreds of women in 2 waves. It's not just one wave. There's 2 waves. So I may have had a couple alcoholic beverages there. Maybe we were dancing, having a good time. A nice 6-foot-tall Cuban girl. Shout out to my girl Cicely. She walks over to me. We start dancing on each other. We spend the next 2 weeks together. I don't leave LA for 2 weeks after the. I stay in that hotel for another multiple days, and then So, moral of the story is that You gotta go to the Playboy Mansion
Yeah, go
final.
to the Playboy Mansion. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I've been 3 times.
But you got
You
a
gotta-
girlfriend, right, Sahil?
Yeah.
You were sitting in the tent. You were probably sitting in the tent watching the games, focusing on the
I wasn't
action.
really watching the games, but I mean, I was just getting drunk.
Yo, that's so fun. I mean, I don't know what the promotional stuff they do for that event, but they don't do enough of it because that is, like, I don't want to say what the girls' professions are because, I think we asked a couple of them. You got nurses, you got models, you got porn stars, you got trying to make a living, man. That's a fun event.
Yeah, it is, and it's like, and none of the girls have any clue what they're at. They just no idea. So, like,
I don't think any of no. Not they.
it's like, fantasy sports. They don't even know what that is or what you're doing. One girl asked me if I was a professional basketball player. I was like, I'm 5'8", Indian, and 20 pounds overweight. It's like, I am the least likely professional basketball player you'll ever meet. Yes, I'm a professional daily fantasy basketball player, but
I mean, maybe she wanted to, that was her way of picking up on you.
I don't think so.
No.
Surely, I don't think it was.
Listen, I got a tip. Anyone that goes to the next Playboy Mansion thing, here's something fun to do. Just ask the women what they do. Ask them how they got there, first of all. And they'll be like, oh, so what do you do out here? And you're going to get some crazy fucking answers you're not going to believe because these girls do all... Yeah, it's... Whew. What other live finals are fun? What other ones should people try to get to if they're...
I mean, I do think the DraftKings does a better job besides outside the Playboy Mansion. Any of the DraftKings ones are really just top notch.
Yeah. Where's like the best one for that? Where are they located at, the DraftKings ones?
So, I mean, they used to be in Vegas, and that used to be a shit show. And now, obviously, you can't have Vegas on DFS. But the last one in Toronto, I think, was really good. I mean, they've been in San Diego a couple times. The NFL ones were in San Diego. San Diego's a great city. Spent like 3 weeks there during December because I had 3 back-to-back live finals. And didn't want to go back to Boston in December. That just seems a bad idea.
You live in Boston, or yeah?
Yeah, I live in Boston. I've lived here since I graduated college. So
When you were in San Diego for 3 weeks, where'd you stay at?
I got an Airbnb and I was staying in the hotels during the weekends. But yeah, I had a friend with me for all the time. So.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time. I lived in San Diego before, and I spent way too much time in hotels in downtown San Diego. So I know all the Airbnbs.
Yeah,
So much better, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's hard to do 3 weeks, but yeah, they had him at the Hard Rock. DK had him at the Hard Rock, and then FanDuel had the Manchester
Hyatt.
Yeah, Manchester Hyatt.
The Manchester Hyatt has the nicest hotel gym I've ever been in my entire life, and they have one of the best fucking pools with the view that I've been to in a hotel. So that's like one of the nicest hotels I've stayed in anywhere in the world, I think, right now. So that place is pretty sweet.
Wow, that is a high statement. I didn't feel that great about it.
Well, okay, the inside of the rooms. I'm big into the gym, man. I like, and they got a basketball. They have a full court basketball hoop.
I saw that.
On the low, hidden outside, and I play a lot of basketball, so I was spending 3-4 hours a day out there playing ball. So it's
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's besides that though. It's just another fucking hotel.
Basketball, man. I mean, yeah. For me, like the basketball, I just couldn't believe there was I like went there and I was shocked. And there's also there's another hotel, the Hilton, that's on Mission Bay. If anyone is curious, has a basketball hoop in the back of the tennis court area. If you're ever looking for a basketball hoop in San Diego, which I'm sure maybe one person out there might. So let me take a couple questions here from the chat. Let me get some shout outs here. We got a lot of regulars from my normal podcast listeners. We also got some new faces. Thank you for tuning in, guys. We'll be doing this each day, every week. Tomorrow I'll be having my buddy Ryan Dodd on. Although I haven't quite actually asked him what time we're going to be doing it. And then Assani Fisher is going to be Thursday night. I think we'll probably drink, maybe not. Thursday will be Jonathan Bales. That'll be in the afternoon. And then Adam Levitan will be Friday night. No one's going to remember this. And then Evan Silva will be, I don't think we set a time. No, afternoon. Yeah, afternoon. What we got out here? Let me see some questions. Shout out to my boy Jacob. He's got a Polish DFS website, or a Czech DFS website.
All right.
Yeah, I mean that could be a good thing for you if DFS was to. Can you play with people from Can you play with people from Europe?
So DK, they have you can play in England, but and they want to go global. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I mean, it really hasn't caught on. I mean, soccer's obviously big there, but there's some big players from England, but I think it's still a long way to go. It's just hard to compete with sports betting, especially if you're casual, I think.
Yeah. Car Young Tum. What? This the real name? I guess so. Car Young Tum? Sick name. Joey, ask him about A.E. Jones.
All right. I mean, I don't know. I actually have never met A.E. Jones, but he's a good player. Obviously, 105 million.
You guys are so much fucking nicer than poker guys. He's a fucking. I mean, he's a. People in poker they love saying, I mean, he's okay, he's all right, he's okay, no, but he's this, that. Because there's a lot more. It seems like there's a lot more interpersonal relationships. I use that. There's a lot more in real life relationships with people in poker, whereas DFS, I'm not sure if it's interacting with people that much in person.
Yeah, because you only have the live finals, and that's the only spot, and they're only whatever 6 a year, or I don't know what more poker, but there's live poker tournaments every month, every day, the week, all across the world. So
yeah, you get a lot more. It seems like there's these poker houses and stuff like that too, and it seems like the team thing in fantasy sports is looked. I mean, that's like very looked down upon. Apparently, it seems like the idea of working together as a team.
Yeah, I do agree, but I mean it's fine. People are going to group together. It's impossible to really police it. If you're doing certain things, I think that raises some issues. But
like what?
I mean, if you're like joining two people in the same 3-man, and knowing what each other's lineups are, and making sure they're different, or doing something like that, I think that crosses the line. If you're playing people that one of you have blocked and you're playing it as another name, or you're using multiple accounts to max enter if you're a single person. But if you're trying to use it to get around the rules, then I think it's an issue. But if you're playing within the rules, I don't have any issue with it. But again, it's tough for an average person that has a dream of playing DFS and making money, and they spend an hour a day, and then you have teams of smart people spending 8 to 12 hours a day. It's like I spend a lot of time. I've been doing it for a long time, but I can still go broke. I could still lose a lot of money. It's like how can a casual person really kind of expect to make money consistently? It's not reasonable.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea you mentioned earlier about potentially limiting. I think one of the sites has a better system now where for beginners where they don't, you're not interacting, you're not playing with these professional players. But I like that idea about potentially a certain threshold, then you can't enter these low stakes contests anymore.
Yeah, no, it's a balance. I do think that FanDuel has it's kind of made it a hard cap, so you can only do 250 in $10 and below total entries, and 500 for NFL. So you really have to choose what you want to, and people are not going to play $1 entries if they only have 150. I do think it's a good system. DK has something similar, but they kind of drop it for guaranteed contests. So if you can only play a certain amount of $1 3-mans or $5 3-mans, but like the big $3 tournaments, you can still kind of play unlimited in those. So it's just a balance, but.
Car Young Chum has another question. Joey, ask him about these DFS training sites from the perspective of how some people hated that people started them in poker.
Yeah, well, I don't know that much about poker, but I mean, it's an inevitability. People are gonna do it. I have mine, RotoQL. I have training videos there, RotoQL University. Check it out. But and it's free for now. So
free.
Check it out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I mean, the actual tool that we have is obviously you pay for it.
Come on, man. Come on.
It's an upsell. It's an upsell, man.
Damn it. Come on. You
give
give him a little bump of Coke, man. You fucking have the rest of the Coke in the other side of the room, huh? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, so what separates these sites? Obviously, there's a lot of sites out there. You got the Fantasy Labs, you got the Roto Grinders thing, you got Roto. Got Roto Johnson, Roto Pizza. It seems like you got a lot.
Everything's a roto.
You got a lot of sites out there, man. What separates your site from these other sites exactly?
So I mean, what I do is really focus on allowing you to build a lot of lineups. So build 150 lineups the way you want to. So customize that feature. I think that's going to be huge for NFL. So you can pick the players you want, things you want to group it together. If you always want to play Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson, and you want to build 25 of those teams with these exposure to these certain players, you can do that. So that's the main, and then also all the data to help you make the decisions. But that's where I think we separate ourselves. Fantasy Labs, they have great stuff, and I think they do a lot more about helping you pick the right players. Roto Grinders, I think they do a lot of articles, less numbers based. So I think Rotokill kind of goes the way that I think about DFS, and if you want to do it kind of the way I think about it using my tools, sign up for my site.
So the big thing about poker is that when you're the best player, you don't want to necessarily give away strategy because you're making the other better players know exactly how you play or have a good idea of how you play, and you're sort of giving away this free information that can be used to exploit you. So from your perspective, do you feel like you're giving away information to the other best players who can then potentially exploit you at all, or maybe learn from something that you say and then take them to another level?
I mean, that is a concern, but I do think that if you're going to be good at anything, whether or not you have, and then most of this, like the strategy stuff, is stuff that all the other pros know. I mean, it's slightly, and then like the site, it's not going to help you become profitable if you don't already like have an idea of what's going on. So I think there, and then anyone that's going to be really good at it, they're going to work hard and probably figure out most of it themselves. You give someone some idea to get started, yeah, eventually that could hurt me, but I think anybody that's going to be really good at it is going to probably figure out most of it for themselves.
That makes sense. Pretty common thing that most people say too in poker about that. Greg, what percentage of his roll would he wager in one? What percentage of his roll would he wager in one heads-up NFL versus a complete amateur? Whew.
Complete amateur. If I'd say, yeah, 15, 20%.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go higher than that.
Complete amateur. Yeah, you think I'd go higher?
Oh yeah. I mean, you got a complete. So let's say it's a fair complete amateur. Okay? Let's say we know the guy's an amateur. We know we
if you know it's a complete amateur, yeah, I'd say I could go 35, 40.
I wonder what your actual. I guess it's hard to estimate your general.
So I think that a complete amateur that watched Matthew Berry's show on Sunday, spent an hour, didn't know the right sources of information, you could possibly have a 75-80% win rate in NFL. But there's very, very few people that I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, not many. I mean, I'm sure guys like that exist. They just aren't playing. They're playing the dollar tournaments or the $10, or it's like it's cousin Steve who watches football with his uncle Jed, and they're like, "Oh, let's play this daily fantasy thing." So, what else we got here? I mean, you kind of saw my notes I had. I haven't even looked at the notes since we started doing this yet. So, Clayton on Twitter asked this question. I said I wanted to ask him. How do regs decide another reg is worth battling?
I mean, you play them some. I mean, I've probably played most of the regs, and then some people don't like it. Some people both think you have an edge. Yeah, I mean, I think we both have an edge, and they're not complaining about me playing them, then I'll play them more. And then if they take my games, then I assume that they don't mind it, and I think they
go take their game. Hello, go sit.
Go take your games. Yeah, it's like.
All right.
There's always somewhat an ego battle. We're all you want to be the best, so like you play someone else, and if they're taking your game, you probably think that they think they're better than you. So
that's how it snowballs. So you're playing six-figure slate with some people.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe there might be.
That'll happen.
It might be a rising. Maybe is there any like guys to look out for on the DFS heads up ecosystem? Maybe a guy coming up the ranks that might be looking to step up to the high stakes this season.
I don't know. I think you look at someone like Chipotle Addict, who plays a lot of high stakes now. He's one. I think he won the Millionaire Maker last year, and he's a good player. But like you saw that he kind of went from a good pro playing medium stakes to kind of all of a sudden sitting 10Ks, 5Ks. So yeah, I mean, I don't really focus on like looking who's up and coming, but that's like one person I've noticed has gone up there, and I'm sure some people that will win six figures this NFL season are going to try to step up their game. But yeah, I mean, this past August there's one battle that some guy, I don't think he was going to be a pro, but he ran like God. I think he like took probably 10K to like mid six figures and then dumped some of it back, and that was something I really hadn't seen someone kind of just run like God. I didn't think it was very good, but
yeah,
other people didn't.
Oh, Peter Jennings says, complete amateur in NBA. What percentage would you risk in one head-to-head?
Well, complete amateur. I think you could do. I think I would go up to 45-50%. I think NBA complete amateurs are at the biggest loss out of all the major sports.
Yeah. That's one thing I noticed a lot last year. The Fish would just pick some guy that, I mean, like one pick, you're just like, oh my God, you just fucking, you know what I mean? You waste like
if you don't play that one point guard playing 35 minutes at 3K and it's going to average like 30 points, it's like, you're not going to come back from that.
Yeah, that's what I noticed straight away. And I'm sure that probably is why that becomes challenging, because I'm sure even like the worst of the fun players, they're going to see that and be like, wait, why did he pick Ray McCollum or something like that? And then they're going to look it up. Oh, okay, wait a second. Like, you got to learn fast before you keep picking Rudy fucking Gay in your lineup or something like that. It ain't going to, no shots at Rudy Gay, but it might not be working out very well for the long term here. So, I mean, we got a lot more. I'll take a couple more questions from the chat, guys. What do you got planned? You got a baseball game tonight? You got a lot. Do you pick more players from the game you're going to, or?
Oh no, I can't do that. That'd be a bias and a leak that I can't make. But it will kind of suck. I don't think I'll have any players from the Red Sox. Just early looking at it, that's my first look. We'll see what happens when all the lineups come out. So it'll be. I mean, it's mostly I do some friends I haven't talked to and met up with in a few years. So
I remember one year I did it. I went to the Bulls Detroit Pistons game. Shout out to FanDuel. They gave me tickets because I wagered money on the site. And that was a 4-3 overtime game. And I picked all Bulls and Pistons players.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's fun.
Unfortunately, I only entered double ups and heads ups, so I didn't play any GPPs.
You gotta get some upside there if you're gonna do that. Go to the game, pick players from it.
Yeah, it worked out well because everybody went off that game. Burrell's thoughts on no, so we can't ask Saahil's thoughts on that. Come on, a little bit of echo. Looking at the list here because I just want to pick one of the last questions here. No. Someone give me a good question on there to go out with a bang on, because all the ones I have are kind of like these. They work in the middle of the podcast, so they're not something to wrap it up on. Ask if he'll give a free lineup tonight for MLB.
I mean, I don't even know what my lineups are gonna be yet, so.
Just saying. All right, fuck it. I'll just go my regular one. So for your life right now, you got DFS. Do you feel like there's one thing or two things that challenge you that you'd really like to get better at, but you can't because you're so focused on DFS right now for the foreseeable future?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just want to get better at. I mean, I want to be an entrepreneur after DFS, so just developing those skills, like making relationships, building that, know how to sell, do those type of things that. I mean, I'm not very good at right now. So I think those type of things, like skills outside that you want to be successful with. I think you need to. If you want to be an entrepreneur, plenty of other things. I just really just so focused on what's going on in 4 hours or what's going to go on in this next week. So that's a challenge, but I also fucking love DFS. I love sports. So I won't say it's a challenge, it's a trade-off that I've made, and I'm happy with the decisions I've made.
But bam, let's leave it at that, man. Saahil, much love, man. Appreciate you coming on to start off my foray here into the DFS world this week.
All right, yeah, thank you, Joey.
Guys in chat, I'll be back tomorrow with my buddy Ryan Dott. Wednesday, you can read the schedule, guys, right? Wednesday, Assani Fisher. Thursday, Bales. Friday, Adam Leviton. Saturday, Evan Silva. And then we'll lose all our money and come up on Sunday and Monday, man. I'm excited to do it. So,
oh yeah, it'll be fun.
Saahil, good luck this week, man. Have fun, and I'll probably check back up with you in a couple of weeks, see how things are going with the action, and see how the heads-up world's working out.
All right, sounds good. Good talk to you, man.
All right, buddy. Take care. Guys in the chat, much love. I'm out of here.
Peace.
Peace out, man.